In the chilling expanse of Russia, an environmental crisis quietly unfolds, with President Vladimir Putin at its helm. The largest country on Earth, Russia is home to a wealth of natural resources and diverse ecosystems. Yet, these precious assets are under threat, with issues such as deforestation, pollution, and climate change casting a long, ominous shadow over the country's environment. The vast Siberian forests, often referred to as the lungs of the earth, are dwindling at an alarming rate. Illegal logging, fires, and governmental policies that favor industrial growth over environmental preservation are turning these lush green expanses into barren landscapes. This deforestation not only threatens Russia's biodiversity, but also accelerates global warming, as these forests play a crucial role in absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Pollution is yet another environmental demon that Russia grapples with. From the toxic fumes belched out by factories and industrial cities, to the hazardous waste dumped into the country's water bodies, pollution is leaving a grim imprint on Russia's environment. The air in many Russian cities is so polluted that it poses a serious threat to public health. At the helm of this environmental crisis is President Vladimir Putin. His approach to these environmental issues has been marked by an apparent lack of urgency and commitment. Despite the mounting evidence of Russia's environmental degradation, Putin's administration has often prioritized economic growth and industrial expansion over environmental protection. Climate change, the global menace that it is, hasn't spared Russia either. Rising temperatures are thawing the Siberian permafrost, releasing vast amounts of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Yet Putin's response to the climate crisis has been lukewarm at best, with critics citing his conspicuous absence from key international climate summits. The severity of Russia's environmental crisis, under President Putin's watch, sets the stage for a deeper exploration into the roots of these problems. Under Putin's leadership, policies that intensify environmental issues have been the order of the day. Let's delve into some specific policies that have played a role in escalating Russia's environmental crisis. First off, under Putin's reign, there has been a clear prioritization of industrial growth over environmental protection. This is evident in the massive expansion of oil and gas extraction projects, particularly in the Arctic region. These operations have not only disrupted fragile ecosystems, but also led to significant oil spills, resulting in widespread contamination and damage to local wildlife. In addition to this, deforestation has been rampant. Despite Russia being home to the largest forest reserves in the world, Putin's government has turned a blind eye to illegal logging activities. This has led to the loss of millions of hectares of forest, which serve as crucial carbon sinks and habitats for numerous species. Moreover, Putin's government has been notably lax when it comes to enforcing environmental regulations. This lack of enforcement has given industries free rein to pollute, leading to air and water pollution levels that are far above safe limits in many areas. A policy of particular concern is the government's approach to waste management. Despite increasing public outcry over the hazardous waste dumps sprouting up around the country, the government continues to allow industries to dispose of their waste in manners that are both environmentally damaging and hazardous to human health. Lastly, the government's reluctance to transition to renewable energy sources is another policy that has drawn criticism. Despite the country's vast potential for wind and solar power, the government continues to heavily subsidize fossil fuels, thereby perpetuating the country's dependence on these environmentally harmful energy sources. It's clear that Putin's policies have played a significant role in escalating Russia's environmental crisis. With each policy favoring industry over environment, the fire of environmental degradation is being further fueled, threatening not only Russia's rich biodiversity, but also the health and well-being of its people. Environmental activists and organizations have been vocal in their criticism of Putin's approach to Russia's environmental issues. From the Siberian forests to the Arctic tundra, they argue, his policies have allowed unchecked exploitation of Russia's vast natural resources. Take Greenpeace Russia, for instance. They've been at the forefront of this fight, highlighting the devastating impacts of deforestation and pollution on Russia's unique ecosystems. Their campaigns have painted a sobering picture of Russia's environmental crisis, depicting a landscape scarred by industrial waste and logging. Then there's the World Wildlife Fund, or WWF. They've raised alarms over the exploitation of Russia's Arctic region, a fragile ecosystem that's home to countless species. The WWF argues that Putin's policies have prioritized economic expansion over environmental protection. leading to unchecked oil drilling and mining operations in this sensitive area. And it's not just global organizations voicing concern. Grassroots activists within Russia have also taken a stand. For example, protests erupted in the Siberian city of Kemerovo in 2019, where residents voiced their outrage over the government's handling of devastating forest fires. These fires, largely attributed to climate change and lax environmental policies, blanketed the region in thick smoke and ignited a public outcry demanding more robust action from Putin's administration. But these criticisms and protests have often been met with resistance. Activists face significant hurdles, from restrictive laws to outright intimidation. Despite these challenges, they continue to push for change, arguing that the cost of inaction is simply too high. The outcry from environmental activists underscores the dire consequences of Putin's policies on Russia's environment. On the global stage, Putin's absence in key climate summits speaks volumes about his stance on environmental issues. The UN Climate Change Conference, an event of significant importance for the collective fight against global warming, saw the absence of one notable figure, Russian President Vladimir Putin. This absence was not an isolated incident, but a part of a pattern where Putin has been conspicuously missing from important international discussions on climate change. The implications of this absence extend beyond mere symbolism. Russia, being one of the world's biggest polluters, has a crucial role to play in the global climate change battle. Putin's decision not to attend these summits can be seen as a reflection of Russia's approach to environmental issues, an approach that has been widely criticized for its lack of urgency and commitment. The absence of Russian leadership in global climate dialogues also raises questions about the country's willingness to cooperate with other nations in addressing this pressing issue. It sends a disconcerting message to the international community that Russia, despite its significant contribution to global emissions, is not ready to take responsibility for its actions. Moreover, Putin's non-participation in these summits also denies Russia the opportunity to learn from other countries' experiences and strategies in combating climate change. It is a missed chance to engage in constructive dialogues, gain insights, and contribute to the global effort to save our planet. One might argue that attendance in summits does not necessarily correlate with action on the ground. However, in the case of Russia, the lack of engagement at the global level mirrors the inadequate action taken domestically to address environmental issues. In conclusion, while the world stands together in the face of an environmental crisis, Putin's consistent absence from key climate summits paints a worrying picture of Russia's commitment to the cause. It brings into sharp focus the country's lack of urgency in dealing with environmental issues and its unwillingness to be a part of the global solution. Putin's absence from these critical global discussions underscores his disregard for the urgency of the environmental crisis. As Putin's reign continues, the future of Russia's environment hangs in the balance. This is a reality we cannot ignore, especially as the impacts of climate change become harder to overlook. If the current environmental policies and attitudes persist, the future of Russia's vast natural landscapes and diverse ecosystems could be under severe threat. From the expansive Siberian taigas to the arid steppes, from the majestic Lake Baikal to the mighty Volga River, every corner of Russia's natural world could bear the brunt of unchecked deforestation and rampant pollution. And it's not just about Russia. The global implications are equally alarming. As the largest country on Earth, Russia plays a significant role in the world's climate system. The Siberian forests, for instance, are a major carbon sink, absorbing billions of tons of carbon dioxide each year. If these forests continue to be depleted, more carbon dioxide could be released into the atmosphere, accelerating global warming and exacerbating climate change. Furthermore, pollution from Russia's industries and cities doesn't respect borders. It can travel across continents, contributing to air quality issues and health risks in countries far from Russia's borders. But let's not forget about the Arctic. Russia's policies and activities in this fragile region have implications for the entire planet. Melting Arctic ice due to global warming, partly driven by Russia's high greenhouse gas emissions, can lead to rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities worldwide. In the face of these potential outcomes, the urgency of addressing Russia's environmental crisis becomes even more apparent. It's a challenge that calls for decisive leadership, comprehensive policies, and international cooperation. Yet, the path taken so far by Putin's administration raises serious concerns. The lack of commitment to environmental conservation, the prioritization of economic growth over ecological health, and the absence from key global climate discussions all paint a worrying picture. The environmental future of Russia under Putin's leadership paints a bleak picture, with global ramifications. This is not just Russia's problem, it's a global concern, and it's high time the world paid attention.